SpongeBob. I'm sure most of us have very fond memories of the show, those memories probably being mostly in our childhood. And the thing about childhood is that you are blissfully ignorant. Ignorant of the weird, disturbing, and sometimes outright evil things that surrounded your favorite yellow anthropomorphic talking sponge. And all of your favorite shows and TV characters for that matter. But now that you're an adult, you're so lucky to be able to find fan art of your favorite characters doing unspeakable acts, full-on fan fiction of them being psycho killers, and you're especially lucky to find out that most of the creators of your favorite shows are absolute creeps and just in general horrible people. Not to name names, Dan Schneider. If you didn't read the title of this video, or if you just wanted a reminder, in this video I will be covering the final 3 tiers in the ultimate Spongebob Iceberg. If you're unfamiliar with iceberg videos, the more you go down the iceberg, the more weird, disturbing, elusive, or obscure the topic is. I've covered the rest of the tiers in this iceberg in my part 1 and 2 videos, so if you haven't yet, I recommend you check those out. Quick disclaimer, I will not be covering every entry in every tier. I cut out the ones that are too NSFW for YouTube or just didn't have enough interesting information to cover. I will also leave the link to the Reddit post that I found this iceberg and all the links to the resources that I used to research these entries in my description below. Alright, enough of me rambling, let's dive into this iceberg. Tier 6, Researcher Sponge. The very first entry that I'm covering is SpongeBob on SNL. Saturday Night Live used to have this animated bit called Ex-Presidents. One of the episodes featured SpongeBob. And the cool thing is they actually got Tom Kenny, who is the actual voice actor for the real SpongeBob, to voice their SpongeBob. He was in the episode for about 2 minutes in which the ex-presidents were having him film an American propaganda video. Here's the actual plot. SpongeBob hosts his own propaganda short, but things take a turn for the worse when he says he doesn't feel comfortable doing it because it feels racist. Yes, you get to hear SpongeBob say the word racist. It's so bizarre.
Consider myself a patriot, but I'm not comfortable doing this. I mean, it just seems really racist.
Once he tries to leave, the ex-presidents capture him and put him in a cage, and then threaten to frame him for having CP on his laptop. Then, it is up to the Powderpuff Girls to come to his rescue. Tom Kenny wasn't allowed to do any more voice acting bits like this with the SpongeBob voiceover ever again. SpongeBob Doppelganger. The SpongeBob Doppelganger was another anthropomorphic sponge who resembles SpongeBob, hence his name. He was planned to be in the episode Dunces and Dragons, but they decided to not put him in the end version. Despite being removed from the actual episode, the SpongeBob Doppelganger is still listed in the credits and was voiced by some guy named Roger Bumpus. 100 million fans can't be wrong. I'm taking this off of a website because I just couldn't have described this better. A press kit titled 100 Million Fans Can't Be Wrong, designed in part to celebrate SpongeBob's 10th anniversary. The inspiration began from the album cover 50 Million Elvis Fans Can't Be Wrong. The kit contains an 18 by 24 poster with all of the characters that ever appeared on the show, a DVD of the first ever SpongeBob SquarePants pilot, a presentation CD with press releases, and a 12-page booklet of famous celebrity quotes including President Barack Obama. Printed including varnish, embossing, and gold leaf application. Dear Jesus, please spite my enemies. The creator of Chowder made some fan art of SpongeBob. Yeah, this is real fan art. It's pretty hilarious, actually. SpongeBob Hope is Lost. This is a supposed lost episode. Before I describe it, I want to tell you the categories that this can be found on the Fandom Wiki website. It's in Lost Episodes, Dismemberment, Demon/Devil, and SpongeBob. Dismemberment? Demon? Last video we had a last episode creepypasta about heaven and hell, and now we have dismemberment and demons. I don't know what's up with these people. The synopsis of this creepypasta is that the writer was once an intern at Nick. One day he was offered the opportunity to watch an unreleased video, but once he arrived in the editing office, he was locked in a room and was practically forced to watch this bizarre episode. It began with the title, "You Nosy Intern, You Shouldn't Have Come In Here." Then the episode started with minutes of SpongeBob sleeping. The scene then creepily transitioned into what seemed to be SpongeBob's dream. The dream was extremely disturbing, sadistic, and beyond gory. It showed several disgusting scenes of our beloved characters dismembered and disemboweled, with SpongeBob appearing as some sort of demonic creature who did this to all of them. Then, the show began to affect real life when the building started shaking and a demon appeared on screen telling the guy that his world was next, and subsequently the laptop catches on fire. The man then wakes up and he is in a break room on the floor screaming. This seemed to all have been a dream. But then, the story has this plot twist with the writer having seemingly become possessed with the same thing that he saw SpongeBob be possessed with in the episode. He then dismembers a person in his real life. So, yeah. My Fair Plankton. This is much less disturbing than the last entry. This was the original title for the episode Fun. It was in reference to the musical titled My Fair Lady. The musical is about a guy who takes up the task of turning a working class girl into a member of high society. The episode of Spongebob has a really similar plot, with Spongebob taking it upon himself to help reform Plankton and make him have friends. I'm a goofy goober, yeah. This error message. This is an error message that pops up in the game Undertale. I've never played the game, but the error messages pop up occasionally through the game, and this is one of them. Spongebob in Tidy Whitey Tumble files. Tidy Whitey Tumble is a SpongeBob video game that was released in 2009. It is a catapult game where you fling SpongeBob by his underwear. In the game files of the Tidy Whitey Tumble game, there is this spooky image. This is not the only time where there is a bizarre picture hidden in the files of a SpongeBob game. I feel like SpongeBob media, and actually a lot of children media, is kind of famous for having weird things buried in their files. 1-800-EAT-CHUM. This is the phone number for the Chum Bucket. It was revealed in the episode Gary's New Toy when SpongeBob was laying beneath a bus bench that had the number on it as an advertisement. 1-800-EAT-CHUM, eat-chum. And if you didn't get that, that was to the tune of AutoZone, or was it Auto Parts? Whatever, one of those auto commercials. No, wait, Safe Auto, 1-800-SAFE-AUTO, safe auto. So not Auto Parts, Safe Auto, which I think is car insurance. So I was way off. SpongeBob Yellow and Patrick Star Pink. In May of 2019, Nick and Pantone released these official colors to commemorate the 20th anniversary of SpongeBob. I kind of love that they did this, but could you imagine going home with a date and they open their bedroom door and the whole place is the official SpongeBob color? I can't imagine like any room painted these colors, but it's also pretty epic. Class B Cuspo error. Class B Cuspo, oh my gosh, this is a freaking tongue twister. Class B Cuspo is the animation company who is best known for producing and animating Rugrats, The Wild Thornberrys, Rocket Power, and a few others. They, however, did not animate or produce SpongeBob. This entry is referring to this one time during the end credits of SpongeBob, instead of showing the United Plankton Pictures logo, which is usually what was at the end of SpongeBob, it showed the Class B Cuspo. Some people have made theories on whether or not this was intentional. Some think that the file was accidentally put into the episode. Others think that they did it to prank kids because apparently a lot of kids found the Class B Cuspo logo animation to be kind of scary. Tier 7, Extreme Sponge Addict. The very first entry that I'll be covering in this tier is titled Target Middle Finger. In 2001, when the SpongeBob crew was working on a commercial for Target, they drew this humorous picture of SpongeBob flipping the bird with the words, Employee of the Month above him. Little Floater's Wild Weekend. This is an audio-only SpongeBob episode in which the plot surrounds a bubble-blowing contest. It released on the album The Q People, published by Spirit House Records. It's like a regular episode of SpongeBob, but it has a few songs by The Q People in it. There isn't very much information about it out there, and the only person to speak on it was Tom Kenny, who is the voice of SpongeBob. Also, he was only talked about it once, and that was on the CD itself. So it's kind of elusive. Plankton in All-Stars Brawl. Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl is a video game that is a direct mirror of the Nintendo game Super Smash Bros. Brawl. He was originally considered to be a part of the game as a playable character, but was decided to be left out initially. Instead of a playable character, there is this game mode called Plankton Ball. This is a team versus team game where the object of the game is to get the Plankton Ball into the other team's star goal. Gary is a god. This is a fan theory posted in video format on the YouTube channel The Theorizer. The video in reference is titled Gary Theory Number 3, Gary the Snail is an Alien God. In the 2 previous videos he posted about this theory, he sets up the idea that Gary is not truly a snail, but was once an alien dolphin. And not just any alien dolphin, one by the name of Bubbles from the movie Sponge Out of Water. The Theorizer says that Bubbles was a part of a group of dolphins who were responsible for creating Bikini Bottom. The video series that the Theorizer made surrounding this is very intriguing, and I recommend you check it out. He goes pretty in depth about it. Tea at the Treedom book. This is the very first SpongeBob SquarePants themed book to ever have been published. The book itself is nothing wild. The plot is based on the episode with the same name, with only a few differences. It was published in 2000 and was the first of very many SpongeBob chapter books. Original 1997 book pitch. This is the original pitch bible for the show. Although it was not originally supposed to be called SpongeBob SquarePants, it was first pitched as SpongeBoy Ahoy. It contains a lot of unseen artwork, original prototypes of characters and places. There is also so much interesting information. Apparently, Sandy was originally supposed to be quote unquote the apple of SpongeBob's eye, which we see a lot in the first few episodes, like they're very flirty. Pearl was also to be quite possibly the most intelligent citizen because she had the largest brain. And instead of Plankton being obsessed with obtaining the secret Krabby Patty formula, he was instead originally supposed to be wanting to steal SpongeBob because he thought that SpongeBob was the secret to Crab's success. There are plenty of other really neat things in here, and I will leave a link below if you want to check it out yourself. Five Nights at the Krusty Krab. FNAC, it's a parody game based on FNAF, Five Nights at Freddy's, that was released 8 years ago by its creator, Sinkaroonie. The general idea and fear factor of the game is nearly identical to the game of FNAF. Spooky animatronics, nighttime, working a horrible job for very little pay. Ooh. FNAC is described by its creator as Mr. Krabs has opened a brand new Krusty Krab in the city, staffed completely by animatronic versions of his old employees. Because it was cheaper than paying their salaries, you are hired as the night watchman at this new restaurant. However, strange things begin to happen as the lights go out and you find yourself in greater danger than you had expected. 7/25/05. This is yet another lost episode creepypasta. In my opinion, it is no way as near as disturbing as the Hope is Lost creepypasta. The pasta tells the story of how one time Nickelodeon aired an oddly glitched and unsettling episode of SpongeBob. The episode was the two combined, Your Shoes Are Untied and Gary Takes a Bath. A few people have edited videos like this one to recreate what had supposedly been aired in 2005. I personally don't believe this actually aired, but you can believe what you like. Now leaving Bikini Bottom. There was a few things that this could have been, but I decided to go with this one because I think it's kind of funny. This is the title of the pilot episode in the fan series titled Room of Four. The plot is described as Squidward, Mrs. Puff, Plankton, and Karen one day decide to leave Bikini Bottom and live together. After packing and saying their goodbyes, they head for the bus station and head for St. Luvar. After arriving, the four purchase a room in the Green Algae Home apartment. I couldn't find any video for it, but the story is posted on the Sponge Fanon Wiki, and it is a pretty bad read, but also super hilarious. Quarantine Crab will never air again. This is the 263rd episode of SpongeBob and is considered to be among one of the worst SpongeBob episodes. For starters, the plot of the episodes bears a lot of similarities to the Rona lockdown/quarantine and was originally scheduled to be aired on November of 2020. However, it was withheld until mid-2022 due to the episode themes. Yeah, if it had been posted in 2020, that would have been like super bad timing. And when it was actually aired, it became one of the lowest rated episodes of SpongeBob, and fans and critics alike just kind of dump on this one all the time and say it's one of the worst. Bob Sponge lawsuit. In 2007, a man sued Nickelodeon for apparently, quote-unquote, stealing his idea to create SpongeBob. In the early 90s, Troy Walker created a comic strip about an anthropomorphic sponge named Bob Sponge, and even sold around 1,000 of these shitty kitchen sponges with faces drawn on them with Sharpie and googly eyes glued to them around Northern California during this time. He believed one of the creators of SpongeBob must have gotten their hands on the comic at some point and created SpongeBob. Walker eventually lost the lawsuit to Nickelodeon due to being unable to prove or provide evidence that Nick had actually copied and created a substantially similar work. Although it may seem weird that there are not only two anthropomorphic sponges, but both were named Bob, that is just about where the similarities end. Also, as my own little note, a few years back I covered the unpublished comic created in the 80s by Steven Hillenburg titled The Intertidal Zone. The host of this comic was a sponge who goes by the name of Bob. So although some may believe Nick just stole Walker's idea for a sponge named Bob, I don't even think that's the case. I just believe it's simply a funny coincidence. Mother claims SpongeBob told her to kill her 3-year-old daughter. Before I start this one, I do want to say that this one talks about child abuse and drugs and actual child murder. So if you would feel uncomfortable listening to that or would feel triggered, I'm going to put a timestamp on this video if you don't want to hear about this one. Anyways, yes, this is a real thing and not a creepypasta. Just last year, 22-year-old Justine Johnson was charged with first-degree child abuse and felony murder. Justine was experiencing withdrawal from heroin, used cocaine that day, and hadn't slept in over 2 weeks. Supposedly, she was having hallucinations that SpongeBob SquarePants was threatening to kill her unless she killed her daughter. Justine stabbed her daughter several times, then put her in a trash bag in the home, which was later then found by her younger brother. I couldn't find her official sentencing, however, she had the possibility of facing life in prison for her violent crime. Lost baseball animation. As it says in the title, it is a piece of supposed lost media. On the Lost Media Wiki website, Soup Nerd made this post on February 20th of 2018. Back in 2005, I was on a trip with my family and some friends in Texas. While we were there, we stopped by a baseball game. Before the game started, an animation played of SpongeBob giving a lecture about having fun. I don't remember much about it, but I do know for a fact that a SpongeBob animation played before the baseball game got started. The thing is, I've been unable to find it anywhere online. If that wasn't perplexing enough, I heard something back then that there was also an Incredibles animation that played at one point a while ago, but I doubt that holds true at all. The hunt for this lost media still goes on to this day, and we haven't really gotten any closer to finding it. So it's possible that it's not real, or at least it was not actually created by Viacom. All right, final tier. Tier 8. My life is all about SpongeBob. The very first entry for this one is Sandy gets arrested. The Great Snail Race deleted scene. All right, this was very difficult to find any information on, let alone actual video evidence. At the end of the episode, The Great Snail Race, after Sandy kicks SpongeBob out of the frame, she apparently gets arrested. This was literally all I could find on this, so if you would like to do your own research to try to find more, go for it. SpongeBob in Chabahar. This is a bootleg / rip-off Persian SpongeBob movie. I don't speak Farsi, so I don't really know what the movie's actual plot is, but I don't really need to know the language to know it was hilarious watching it. Watching through, here is what I could gather about the plot. SpongeBob, Patrick, and Mr. Krabs have come to the surface, and for some reason, SpongeBob has a water gun and Mr. Krabs has a plastic recorder. They then hop into the back of a shipping truck. Once they're at this shipping facility, spy music plays and they start creeping around. And I presume that they're there to perform a heist of some kind. The movie is pretty low budget, but honestly, the character costumes aren't too awful. I just wish I could speak the language so I could know what was actually going on. Plaguefish. This is yet another Lost episode entry. The most I could find on this was on the Lost Media Archive fandom page. Here's what it said. Plaguefish was intended to be the 7th episode of Season 7 of SpongeBob SquarePants. Halfway through filming in 2009, it was decided that the plot would be too controversial and violent for young children to understand, so the episode was scrapped and replaced with The Curse of Bikini Bottom. The page for this on the Lost Media Archive is up for deletion due to having no evidence that it was actually real, and that's really all I could find. I couldn't even find an actual creepypasta on it, so I'm not totally sure where it came from. Fools in April hair error. On Reddit, a user posted this screenshot from the episode Fools in April. As you can see, there's a little bit of human hair in the clip. Some people in the comments of the post believe that it got caught on a layer in the cell animation screen. Just to clarify, cell animation is a traditional style of animation where the pictures are hand-drawn and then transferred onto transparent pieces of plastic sheets. So the comments were speculating that during this transition process, a piece of hair probably got stuck in there. Everywhere at the End of Bikini Bottom. This is a parody album created by the artist The Sponge Taker. It's a parody of the album Everywhere at the End of Time by The Caretaker. The original album is actually a series of 6 albums that portray the descent into dementia. It begins with music that seems eerily familiar, and as the 6-hour album progresses, the music becomes more fuzzy. Although the themes of the parody album are much more lighthearted, it's also still about the degradation of memories, but specifically childhood memories. I didn't listen to every song on the album, but I enjoyed the few that I did listen to. It's songs like the album it's parodying. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm gonna make it a word. All have a very familiar feel that progressively becomes more fuzzy as the album goes on. If you want to listen to the album, I'll link the Bandcamp webpage that I found it on below. r/SpongeBob Gore. This is a Reddit community dedicated to posting gory scenes from the actual show and gory fan art. The page itself only has 2,000 members, and it is rarely posted to. Honestly, it was not nearly as disgusting as I thought it would be. I mean, yes, it's super weird that there is a whole page strictly dedicated to gory SpongeBob scenes, but it wasn't as bad as some other things in this iceberg, and definitely not as bad as some things that are on Reddit. Ed's World SpongeBob Test. This is an animation created by Ed Gould, posted to the website titled Sheezy Art in 2007. It is an animation of Ed and his friend Matt walking along to the SpongeBob song Now That We're Men. Ed sadly passed away from cancer in 2012, and his friends have kept his memories alive through Ed's old channel titled Ed's World. I'm assuming that this was put into the iceberg because I think for a while this video was considered to be lost media, and eventually it was found. Creepy SpongeBob VHS tape fire remains. This is a YouTube video of some SpongeBob footage that begins with the episode of Squirrel Jokes. However, it is not normal footage, but the footage is pulled from a charred VHS tape. YouTube creator Owen Fishbatch posted it in 2015 explaining that his house had caught fire in 2006 and he had kept this burnt VHS. When he finally watched the tape some years later, he found it to be, and I quote, SpongeBob episodes melded together with one of my tapes from my trip to Japan sometime around 1980. The video has some generally unsettling footage and super crunchy audio. Again, it will be linked down below in the description if you want to check it out. Krabby Quest. This is a SpongeBob casual adventure game that was released in 2005. Krabby Quest was originally released on the Nick Arcade and was available for download on Windows. And bruh, when I looked at the archive page on the Wayback Machine, it was priced at $6.99. Are you seeing this footage? Honestly, I can't decide if I think that is highway robbery or a good deal, considering animated games in 2005 weren't like amazing and superb. So I think it's kind of awesome that they were able to download it on Windows, but I still think that's kind of priced high. Squidward Fan 1982. The most I could find on this one is that he was a SpongeBob fan who used to post to YouTube. However, his channel was taken down after he had taken his own life in 2010. I can't find any actual articles or news clips that verify that this is real, so I partially believe that this may be something just spread around the internet and Spongebob Icebergs. Brazilian defecation broadcast. This one is what I believe to be a copypasta / creepypasta or whatever you want to call it, but it is some supposed lost media. Apparently, during the 2016 Brazilian Olympics, the broadcast in Brazil was hijacked by hackers. These hackers showed an episode of SpongeBob that included a frequency that made people shit themselves. No, I'm not joking. After this happened, all proof of it was deleted from the internet by the Brazilian government and CIA. However, there was a whistleblower in the CIA who released some of the footage into the dark web. Then, Truth Seeker 2031 here on YouTube posted this recovered audio / footage. I 100% believe that this is a fake lost media situation, and I even watched the video myself, but if you're daring enough and wanting to shit yourself, I'll link the video in the description below. Last entry. Official SpongeBob Twitter account posting a GIF including one frame of the Wyoming incident. I want to provide a little background knowledge for those who may not know about the Wyoming incident or what it is. I'm taking this description from tvtropes.com because I can't describe it any better. The Wyoming incident is an internet horror ARG creepypasta that began in 2016. Considered to be the first horror-based internet ARG as well as possibly the first creepypasta, the Wyoming incident originated as a tale about a video that reportedly drives videos to madness. This video is the recording of a supposed signal broadcast interruption of a Wyoming news station that resulted in mass confusion and terror brought upon by the infrasonic frequencies contained within the hijacking. So yes, this is another hijacking incident that has a strange effect on its viewers, but they're not shitting themselves this time. They're dying. How does this relate to SpongeBob? The SpongeBob official Twitter account replied to a comment with a GIF, and said GIF contained one frame from the Wyoming incident videos. It's pretty weird and creepy, and it's actually 100% true. If you want to check out the post yourself, I'll have it linked below in my description. That was the last of the iceberg. It feels a little bittersweet to end this little series, but I also feel so grateful for the support that I've gotten thus far. Thank you all so much if you have stuck around to the end of the video, and especially if you've watched all 3 videos. And if you haven't seen the first 2 videos and you liked this one, the links to them will be at the very end. If you liked this video and want to see more content from me, please subscribe and leave me a comment telling me what iceberg I should cover next. Again, thank you all so much, and I will see you next time. Bye!